CTV family. Catch us live on your TV screens. CPT where we be. 4 p.m. till 5 every week. EKSE, 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 EKSE live. CTV family. Catch us live on your TV screens. CPT where we be. 4 p.m. till 5 every week. EKSE, 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 it's EKSE live.
We feel down, we are sad. Our question, how long's this gonna last? Here and now, this got to win. Here's my hand, let's take a stand. Let's take a stand.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, I am not in the studio today because I'm doing one of my favorite things, and that is discovering every single thing that is happening in Cape Town. But before I tell you what it is, I just want to say welcome to the biggest, the baddest, the most hip and happening youth show in the motherland. And I, of course, today will be your hostess with the mostest, Uluandile Intombu Yakazulu. Now, I need you to hop on our socials and let us know if you're feeling the girl, or if you're not, if you're excited for the show, if you're like, Luandile, I don't know, I'm tired today, I'm having a bad day. All of it, my loves, I need to know it on our social media pages. It is EKSE_live on Twitter, as well as EKSE_live on Instagram, as well as EKSE_CTV on Instagram. Now, let me tell you all the juice that is happening today. We're at this incredible event titled Philisa Abafazi Bethu Family Center. Listen, they are launching something that is so, so close to my heart, and that is a family center for women and children to feel safe who have suffered under the hands of gender-based violence, be it gender-based violence against a woman, be it gender-based violence against men. If you have suffered any gender-based violence, this is a home where you can come in and feel safe. So shout out to the incredible Lucinda for doing this amazing work and for inviting us to be here today. We're going to be speaking to her a little later on. So if you have anything to add to the conversation regarding gender-based violence, you need to hop on our social media pages and let us know, be it a story that you know, something that has happened to you, we want to know it. Or and one thing that I have to mention is that I found out about Philisa Abafazi Bethu in February this year because they sent me the most beautiful roses, and the roses were black, and I was surprised. It's February, it's the month of love, why are the roses black? And when I read the card, it was so beautiful to find out that the story is not just about 16 days of activism, but it's about raising awareness 365 days of the year. So that's exactly what she started out doing. She said, I'm going to create this family center to make sure that we are raising awareness against gender-based violence in our community. And that's exactly what she's taken up to do. So, ladies and gentlemen, if this next episode doesn't inspire you, angazi ke ukuthi what will make you inspired, because these are real life heroes who are making a difference right here in South Africa. But right now, though, I am going to go to this beautiful musical interlude saying umthande umuntu wakho. Ladies and gentlemen, please do take. Joining me right now is the Minister of Social Development right here in the city of Cape Town. Now, one thing that I love is when ministers get out in the world and do something to change the country. And my minister right next to me was here advocating for women as well. She is speaking as well as a survivor of this gender-based violence, which every woman in this country has experienced in one way or another. So, Minister, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's my pleasure, and thank you for the opportunity to share and lend my voice to a scourge that has just spiraled out of control. So we don't only need women's voices, we need men's voices too.
And one thing I just want to know, why is it so important that we continue rather to advocate for women? Some women are still speaking out. Some women decided they're going to stay silent. Maybe they'll be brave enough one day to speak out for themselves. Why is it important for us to advocate for them?
I think what is important when we speak up, our stories encourage others who are possibly going through a similar situation. But just remember, when you're in a cycle of domestic violence, you don't see what is wrong in the system. You believe that what is happening to you is appropriate and it is normal. And only when you wake up and you've either been beaten unconscious or something's happened to you, do you realize that you actually need to talk about this. In my instance, I kept quiet for many years because I felt guilt and shame, not knowing that it was someone else who had inflicted this guilt and shame on me. So I encourage women to speak up, but more importantly, I want to encourage young men and boys to speak up, because often they know of something that is going wrong, but they dare not speak about it because of peer pressure or because it's a boy thing. And we need to encourage young boys and men to stand up and speak up. So when they see something, to actually say something. Because silence to me means you're complicit if you know something's going wrong and you're not speaking out.
Something that I love about what's happening today is Pilisa Bafazi Betu, which was started by Lucinda, is something where a woman is doing something about what's happening in gender-based violence. Is that what we're encouraging as the government? Are we saying, hey, it's up to each and every person to make sure that we curb and bring down this number of gender-based violence?
Lucinda Evans is, as I said, she's unstoppable. She's an incredible activist. She does really great work. And this dream of hers, she shared with me a few years ago. But more importantly, it is a commitment. It is a passion. And she's simply unstoppable in that she won't accept no. But she's had a fair share. And I think what we saw today was the power of partnerships, countries coming together, because gender-based violence is a global pandemic. It is not something limited to Steenberg. And the other good thing Lucinda has done, this field used to be a place where gangsters used to hang out and people used to smoke drugs and dagga. She has taken that space and she has transformed it into a center, what she calls a family center. And I think that is what the power of partnerships can do, and it's transformation in a community. So she's holding a safe space not only for women and children, but as she said, for young boys and men, because bear in mind, it's not only women and children who experience gender violence. Young boys and men too experience violence, and we need to pay more attention to focus on that boy child so that he can grow up with his self-esteem equally in place. Many boys who have been hurt or violated when they were young grow up to become angry young men. And we need to understand that this is not, GBV is not a gender issue, it is a societal issue. And it takes a whole of society to solve the problem. Similarly, at the government level, we are addressing it as a whole of government. So I say with one voice, we can unite and fight the scourge of gender-based violence.
And speaking of one voice, so maybe we're speaking about this voice right now, but hopefully we'll have more of these centers all around Cape Town to make sure that each and every community has one place standing where they feel safe with gender-based violence. Do you feel like there is a bright future for South Africa to move on from where we are right now, heading to the top?
Well, to me, this enablement center or family center represents what every community should have, in my opinion. As I said, there is a challenge around resources and funding, but the power of partnerships again needs to come into play, and I'm certain that we can replicate this. Lucinda has said we need more of this. Especially in rural areas where women are deeply compromised. Not just women, communities are compromised because there are no resources. So I would love to see another center like this being established anywhere from Khayelitsha to Maritzburg. At the furthest part of our province, it can be done, and I'm certain Lucinda will throw a weight behind anything where we can share this best practice. So it is indeed a good day for Lavender Hill. She talks about the lavender in the hills, and it's just come out so beautifully today.
One person at a time, one community at a time, making sure that we are making a better place of this world that we live in. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll talk to more people right after this.
CTV family, catch us live on your TV screens. CTV family, catch us live on your TV screen.
Hi everyone, I'm Lucinda Evans from Belisa Abafazi Betu. It's day 27 and we're cooking up a storm. It's a sunshiny Monday, and so obviously for those of you that know, when it was rained a little bit over the weekend, I was a bit panicky, so I prayed the clouds away. But I want to take a pause as the director of Belisa Abafazi, and I want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you to all the donors, and I want to start off with Breadline Africa, the Rotary Club of Newlands, and the many various donors that have donated towards the feeding program. It is currently where we find ourselves, we cooking 2,000 meals. We have reached our ceiling because we do not have a bigger venue, but to the 8 sites that we are currently providing and the coordinators, we want to say thank you.
Hi, I'm Marion from Breadline Africa, and I'm just like to say really a very, very big thank you to all the donors who have made it possible for us to support organizations like Lucinda Evans and Belisa Abafazi Betu. So Lucinda has more than 7 sites and started with 600 meals, and through your donations she's been able to increase to over 2,000 meals a day, 5 days a week. Lucinda's one, as I said, one of 17, and therefore your donations are incredibly valuable to helping children get at least 1 meal a day. So on behalf of Breadline Africa, the team and all the volunteers, a very big thank you.
Hi, I'm Natasha Nicholson, and I'm with the Lavender Can, and we in partnership with Lucinda Evans and her group, and so we basically just feeding. Like now our rate actually dropped due to all the Muslim children and adults fasting, so basically we normally feed like 200, 250 to 300 kids, that's beside the adults. So basically we have now, our lunch feed is basically coming to plus minus 200 kids. So we just appreciate everything we are getting from the other organization, and we just appreciate everything.
So at this point in time, we want to place it out there to everyone that we still need your support and we still need your help. Please support Belisa Abafazi Betu. Please donate to Breadline Africa or to the Rotary Club of Newlands. I want to say thank you to the volunteers and our staff and everyone that has been involved. Thank you also to my loving family that have supported us 200%. We're back in the house, we're running the project of the house. It is very difficult to be running such a full-scale program with such a full-scale feeding program from the comfort of my dining room. I just want to say thank you also to the beneficiaries, and we want to ask you to keep safe, social distancing, wear your mask, and as soon as lockdown is over, We'll be back at the organization. We'll be back to doing our things. We miss you all, but keep safe. We'll see you at one of the lines. And if you need to get hold of us, you know how to do that. Thank you.
We are rising. We are rising now. And in this life.
Joining me right now is the U.S. General Counsel, who is named Will Stevens. I wanted to say Will Smith for obvious reasons because he does look like Will Smith, but I mean, we'll call you Will Stevens for now. Just for now. Just for this interview. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank
Now,
you.
I want to know, why was it important for your organization to be in partnership with Police Abafaz?
Look, the U.S. Consulate General is a member of this community. We live here. In fact, we're just right down the road. We've had a long partnership with Lucinda and her team, and when we were given the opportunity to invest here and build a shelter, we jumped at it. Protecting women and children and people who experience violence is part of who we are as a nation, and so we're just so proud to be partners.
Yeah, and also just wanted to say something you mentioned so beautifully, is that it's not just a South African pandemic or global pandemic, it's a worldly pandemic. Everybody faces gender-based violence. Do you feel like as South African we are moving forward in the right direction with buildings like this? Hopefully they'll move on not just from here but to Kailita, to all these different places. Do you feel like we're moving in the right direction to make sure we curb this crisis?
Look, it's important that we're partners, right? Because it's a global problem. It's a problem in South Africa, it's a problem in Cape Town, it's a problem in the United States. So we can learn from each other and we can work together and move in the right direction. And every step we take forward is a step forward where we're going to reduce it and build awareness. So yes, I do think so.
And then what are some of the key things that you think will help other people also build organizations like this? Is it partnerships? Is it determination? I mean, Lucinda has been talking about how she's been partnering with different people, how you guys have held a hand through this process. Is that one thing that we must all just realize as South Africans? We need to hold each other's hand and build situations like this in order to move forward.
Well, you almost put the words right in my mouth.
Said it all.
When we work together, we can solve problems, right? The U.S. is so invested in the Western Cape in particular. Look, we're actually like the #1 direct investor as our business is Coca-Cola all around us today, right? When we work together, we can solve problems, and we're not just making things or selling beverages or buying and selling things. We're working together as members of our community. So I think Lucinda's determination and her willingness to stick with it is what made this possible, and I'm just so proud to be part of it.
And I just want to go back to the gentleman's conversation. Why is it important for us to not just educate young women now on how to get away from rape victim and all of that, but why is it important for us to involve young men into the conversation and teaching our, actually not even just young men, old men as well, making sure that we are having this conversation around gender-based violence?
Yeah, education is so important, and gender-based violence doesn't happen without both parties, right? The perpetrator and the victim. And so it's important to take care of the victims, make them feel safe and empowered again. But it's also important to help people who are perpetrators to understand that there's a path back to healing and there's a path back to accountability. And so taking those steps and opening it up to both parties is really important.
Opening up to both parties, and that's exactly rather what Police Abafaz are doing right here in this beautiful center. What I also love is that they're not just dealing with young women and young males, but they're also dealing with members of LGBT community. How important is it for us to be inclusive of not just the people that we think are being attacked, but every single person that is really being attacked in the real world?
Absolutely critical, and the LGBT community is often at the forefront of gender-based violence, and it's something that we as the U.S. have been really focused on. So most of the work that we do in South Africa is actually, other than our trade and investment, which is so robust, is focused on HIV/AIDS and health. For 20 years, we've been investing in fighting, testing and treating people, and that includes a large focus on the LGBT community in particular, and focus on helping victims of gender-based violence. You know, so you've been attacked, you come to a place like this, and then you're immediately connected to our PEPFAR programs to test you and get you on treatment so that you can continue to live a healthy life.
And it's just so good to know that there are programs out there that are being put out right now to help women and men who are in need of these situations. Now, can we just talk about the fact that do you feel like there is growth in our areas where people are more aware of what gender-based violence is? Because before, people used to keep it under the wraps. Do you feel like we're doing enough to make sure that we bring gender-based violence down?
You know, I was noticing something. We were looking at the numbers in the last year and a half, and the numbers have gone way up. And I think it's terrible, right? But at the same time, that maybe mean that people are more willing to talk about it, right? it may mean that people are willing to come forward and say, I've been a victim. It takes a tremendous amount of courage to come and talk about your issues, and by having community discussions about this, by publicizing it, thank you Cape Town TV, it makes people feel more comfortable about talking about the things they've been through, and being willing to come forward, because that's the very first step to solving a problem, is admitting that there's a problem.
And the very first step for you to do is go on our social media pages. Guys, if you've experienced any of these things that we talked about, please do hop on our socials. Let us know. If you have a story that you'd like us to plug us with, please do let us know right here on our social media. It is EKSE_live on Twitter, as well as EKSE live on Facebook, as well as EKSE_live on Instagram. Continue the conversation. It's not over. Gender-based violence, 365 days of activism, because we do it all year round, not just once. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Take care.
Thank you, you too. Joining me right now is a commercial director for Coca-Cola, John Jobet, who's going to be speaking to us about why is it important for Coca-Cola actually to tap into such important conversations and fund things like Police Abafazi right here in South Africa. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's a great pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Listen, let's just dive in straight into it. I mean, Coca-Cola has been known as a beverage, a very big deal beverage. Everyone knows about Coca-Cola. But why is it important for us to tap into our community, things like this, and to make sure that we're funding and helping things like Police Abafazi?
So for us, it's very important to connect with our communities. We want to put back into the communities that we service. So we have a very strong commitment to social investment. We do projects every year. We work very closely with the Rotary Club of Newlands. They identify where the needs are, and we'll work with them. And then we have a budget which we use to do projects like this. So we'll try and do one big brick and mortar project like this every single year. And I guess the real trick is when you find somebody like Lucinda, who's such an angel in the community, to be able to find the funds to help her reach her dream so that she can protect the women and the children and educate men in the community like this. It's just an absolutely natural thing for us to be able to do. We were very, very privileged and humbled that we are able to invest back into the community, especially at a time like we're facing now, where we've all taken some financial beating as a result of COVID. So to see this project come to fruition is so rewarding for us as a brand and as a community. We employ 1,350 people, and every single one of them are so proud that we were able to help Lucinda in reaching her dream here.
And let's say someone like Lucinda pops up. What's the first thought? Is it, oh my God, what an incredible organization, but how am I going to do this?
So we have to evaluate everything. We wish we had a never-ending budget that we could do, but I think the real trick is to find what somebody mentioned today, an angel. And if you find the angel that's taking ownership of a community commitment like this, you know that your investment is going to be really well spent and it's going to be sustainable for many years to come. And that's a really important consideration of ours when we do invest in social investment commitments like this.
Right, and just tapping into you right now, there's so many things that were mentioned inside, but one of the key things that she mentioned for me was it's not just about the females, but it's about the males as well. How important is it for us to get males in this conversation when it comes to gender-based violence?
You can never solve this without both genders being involved in the conversation. We're very privileged. One of my colleagues is actually going to work with Lucinda and start a program on a Saturday morning in terms of educating men in this community. It may just be skills development, whatever, give people and men in the community a purpose to live and live a decent life and to understand the meaning of respect and respect for women. I think it's a fantastic initiative and really important. We've got to teach our men and our young boys the importance of being respectful to females, for sure. Yeah,
and looking at this from a business side, business aspect, is it possible to have more of these all around Cape Town, not just in this community, but in Khayelitsha, in Langa, in every single community you can possibly think of? Because I feel like it is a big, big need.
It is a big need, and I think you heard inside there would be a wish that you could replicate this in many, many communities. And my dream would be that we're able to help that as well. We have over the years invested in about 30 of these types of initiatives. Sometimes not always for gender-based care, but young adult education facilities. We actually did an upgrade close by here at the Steenberg High School Music Centre, and that was a really cool initiative because that was giving that community purpose. They were giving them a place where they could practice their music. They weren't on the streets and they're doing stuff. So we do something every year in a different community to uplift that community and make sure that we're giving that community purpose.
Right. And let's say I don't have Coca-Cola as my helping hand. What are some of the key things that you feel in order for me to build something this sustainable I need to consider?
I think you've got to have real purpose and meaning and belief. So if you think Lucinda started this in her back room in her garden 12 years ago, and she even said, I mean, I had tears when she was crying on the stage saying that she gave up her kids' rooms to take care of people. So I think if somebody really cares, you're going to find a way to make it happen. And then over years, people will recognize that, and then without even asking, people are going to come to help you because they realize what a great job you're doing in terms of the community. So I think probably if you care and you have the conviction to make it happen, it's going to happen. No matter how small or how big. So remember, you can take care of one person, and that's making a difference. Lucinda's going to be able to take care of lots of people, which makes a bigger difference.
CTV family, catch us live on your TV screen. CTV family, catch us live on your TV screen.
Here is Ubuntu. I feel that Ubuntu, as far as the US, Germany, Denmark, and Sweden, dear Queen Sylvia, is in solidarity with us today, and although you might have not seen the visual, she's wearing lilac. Thank you, Auntie Sylvie. I'll tell you why I call her Auntie Sylvie a bit later. But I also want to say thank you to the Evangelical Church in Dubbelsheim and Wolfsbrook. Sorry, Laura, my African tongue is stuck. I greet you warmly in the name of my Lord Jesus. This is the Lord that I've cried for the community for 10 years. And in my tradition, as a Khoisan woman, an ancestor to the slave who lived and walked across the beautiful Western Cape, as we gather today to receive and bless this land and our beautiful center. It rained this morning, so the blessing is here. I want to say to all of you, be welcome in this healing space. I declare it is sacred because what you see around here today is more than colorful buildings in Steenberg. It is the calling from all our wombs.
Ladies and gentlemen, the lady of the hour, Lucinda, has joined me. I don't know what to say to you. I just want to say congratulations. Thank you so much for what you're doing for the women in your community and for South Africa in general. Literally changing one woman, one male at the same time. Thank you so much for all your work.
Thank you.
Let's talk about this beautiful family center. You said that it started 8 years ago. You were working in your home. How does it feel to be where you are right now?
It's 10 years ago. I sat in my garage and I wrote what would an ideal center look like. And that time the organization was in my dining room and garage and in my children's rooms. And I wrote the document, and that piece of paper was my saying in mad days when there were nothing. I would look at that paper and I would visualize what a family center, women's center would look like. And when Queen Sylvia from Sweden visited me in January, we had dinner, and she asked me if there's one thing that I could ask her. I said, can you buy me 15 containers? I'm like, containers? And I said, yes, because we cannot build with brick and mortar. And that was the beginning of an amazing year of hard work. At times, in the inside of my heart, I wanted to give up. And let me be very honest, because the help and the support didn't come the way we thought. And then when COVID happened, we were veered into, supporting families, 3,000 meals a day, every day out. In conditions where there was 80% rain. Our volunteers were there, the people were there, and the center was at the forefront, because when World Childhood Foundation told me the funding is there, I immediately went to the Rotarians and said, I have money now, help me. Take my hand, find me the project manager, which they did. And I am eternally grateful to the Rotarians. I didn't even know that PenBev, Coca-Cola would come along and they would just support us. So when hard lockdown 5 was over, we came. And we are here, and our narrative has changed as an organization who had a focus just on, working with women and children. We are now saying, we are now saying our doors are open to men. Our doors are open to young boys. Let us get the resources into Polisa Abufazi. Let us make those strategic partnership. We have the facility. The young men and boys can come.
Now, one thing that I want to know is why did you specifically go with the subject of gender-based violence? I mean, there's so many different problems that we have in South Africa, be it gangsterism, be it all these problems, but why did you specifically say, I want to work with people who have experienced or who are going through gender-based violence?
I witnessed gender-based violence in my road. When I came home one day from work and this guy was kicking his girlfriend, she was bleeding. The shocking part for me was people were standing and watching. They didn't help her. So I clipped him with the mirror of my car. And then I said, what are you doing? And it was she that said, it's none of your business. And I said, today I'm making it my business. And to him I said, what if this was your sister or your mother? Would you have wanted another man to do this? And this has been ever since I have made it my business. And it's been hard. It's been hard because we as a community, we as a country are still seeing the domestic violence. We are still seeing how he kicks her. We are still seeing how he beats her. We either walk away or we stand and watch. When is it going to become all of our business?
Let's make it all of our business. And you spoke about something so beautiful where you said we must hold each other's hands. Now, what did you mean by that in a business sense? Were you saying the people around you must hold each other's hands, but also us as the community? How can we help hold your hand?
Volunteers. Volunteers are welcome to come and bring their expertise to the center. Holding our hand is that we need to look at actioning. We have been talking too much. We have been, romanticizing about this too much. And we have an action. And the action is that, businesses, the civil society, come and take our hands. You have the expertise. I have the venue. If you have expertise with working in entrepreneurial, in gardening with men and boys, come and take our hand. Come to our center. Bring your expertise so that we can collectively make it our business.
And I first heard of your incredible organization probably this year in February 2020. And the one thing that stood out for me was you said it's not just 16 days of activism, but it's 365 days of activism. And you're leading us into that because this center is going to be open 365 days. Why is it important for us to not celebrate things like 16 days of activism? Yes, it comes from a good place, but why should we take it and say, no, this is not a 16-day thing, it's a 365-day thing?
What do we have to celebrate? What do we have to celebrate that the well-known musician in Cape Town has put a gagging order on activists, not to mention his name, that have attacked and violated a young person who has been sentenced for life, knowing what was done to him. And because of his good name and he's being an influencer, he used the very same law that is anti-survivors, anti the protection of us, to stop us from supporting the victim. And that is why it needs to be 365 days. We need to have the flag of this country hang at half-mast for 365 days because there were more women and children killed than people that died of COVID. And that is the truth. I am not going to wear white, not today, not tomorrow, or the next day. I'm not wearing black. I don't want to wear black because we wear black every day of our lives.
And we're mourning every day of our lives. And speaking of that, how can we better ourselves rather, and to make sure that we are educating people around us, not just because you're doing a great work in here, but it goes back to us in our offices when we're having conversations. It goes back to us in our playgrounds when we're playing with other people's kids. How can we make sure that we're continuing the conversation and educating young women and males when it comes to gender-based violence?
We need to speak up. Those sexualization of women jokes in the office, the I'm going to slap your bum in the office. We need to call these persons out that does it. We need to call out businesses that turns a blind eye to sexual harassment. We don't speak about sexual harassment until the point when the survivor cannot anymore. And then the survivor speaks up. And then you find at most times companies are so not sympathetic. We need to speak up that we slut shame survivors. Or if she's big built and she's wearing short clothes, we
want to catcall them.
Yeah. And so this is where the conversations need to happen. In the offices, in the clubs, in the bars, and those golf clubs where, you know, those people that goes there discusses their secretaries and their PAs. The business trips, when, you know, we're in the business trip, we're not in our same environment, maybe I can just do something. And those are the times and places and spaces where we need to call out. But we also need to call out in the music industry that is still very much quiet about this influential musical artists. I am yet to hear the big names in the music industry and where they have placed themselves in terms of this heinous crime that has happened, because it is a crime.
And just to go back to building this, what were some of the big challenges that you faced? I know you faced a lot, especially with COVID-19, but if you could name your top 2 challenges that you faced and how you overcame them.
Building the center, there wasn't enough steel. We didn't have steel. I think I've learned so much about the industry and steel and
construction
and roof sheets. There are some of the roof sheets laying there. I've learned much about, and timber, and where things are coming from. But it was a beautiful learning experience. One which I lovingly would say, no, that's not my expertise and field. No, thank you.
I'm good.
But of course, our center is incomplete. Our hall is incomplete. So we have to go back to the fundraising drawing board to get the necessary to complete the center. It's halfway complete. I would really hope the city of Cape Town would really take our hand. We cannot open the safe house. There is no electricity here, and we have no water. We are still working with Peninsula Beverages Relief Water. We've been working with the water since March of this year. So come on, City of Cape Town.
Come on, City of Cape Town.
Take our hands. And whoever is still doing work at home from COVID, prioritize the Police Abafazi Center, please. The gates are open, but we still cannot have services. So we'll have minimal services until we get electricity. So we can't work our computers, we can't make copies, we can't boil water for a client, and it's pitch dark here, so we can't even offer the services to the clients. We're ready.
Yes, they are ready to open, and they're hoping you as the community jump on board as well. Now, I need to know, where can I find you on social media? Maybe I'm someone who wants to volunteer. Maybe I'm someone who wants to put in funds. Where can I go? What can I search in order to find Police Abafaz?
So we have a Facebook page, which is Police Abafazi B2 SA. We also have a website, www.policeabafazi.org. We have an Instagram page. We're still very much Instagram virgins. So please forgive us if we're
breaking into that world.
Yes, thank you. And Twitter too, Twitter virgins, but we're getting there. And people can contact us, and we'll definitely contact them back. We have a criteria, so we ask people to be screened and vetted when they want to volunteer.
Absolutely.
Because we are working with survivors, we are working with children, and our child protection policy mandates that before anyone, and we welcome volunteers, the screening and vetting is important.
Lucinda the Angel, thank you so much for chatting to us. Ladies and gentlemen, that is literally a real live hero standing right next to me, making sure that she makes a difference in her community. If you want to help out, please do hop on their socials. Make sure you hit them up. If you want to be a volunteer in this great organization, you do want to do that. What you don't want to do, though, is leave this program before we actually finish. So please do hop on our socials. It is EKSE_live on Twitter, as well as EKSE_live on Instagram, as well as EKSE Live on Facebook. Right now, joining the conversation is me, myself, Lucinda, who will check you out after this. Bye.